This live is about going from stress to bliss. The reason I'm talking about stress is actually studies show that stress is actually the #1 killer in the world. It's the thing that's behind heart failure, cancer, blood pressure, all kinds of issues. And stress basically is dis-ease, a lack of ease in your body. And I'm going to share 3 things that are contributing to stress in a really big way. And this is really speaking to women who are on a mission to make a difference. Some of you may be perfectionists. Some of you may be trying to be something in order to get something, in order to show up as you believe the world needs you to show up so that you can be loved or respected or recognized. And also, you may be, one of my clients was saying the other day that she, like I used to work in the corporate world, and one of the biggest scams the corporate world ever sold us was this idea that it was a good idea to multitask. And I'm going to be touching on those points today. And so definitely listen up. You are going to want to listen to this. So the #1 thing is, let's talk about dissatisfaction. This state of dissatisfaction, not being satisfied with the way things are. And if you nut that up, when you are dissatisfied, you have an opinion that something is not as you wanted it to be. Something is not as it should be. Okay, you may have that opinion, but when you actually take that up a notch, you're basically in a state where you've judged it as being wrong. You've judged it as being something that you resist. You've judged it as being something you do not want. You may actually be actively trying to force it and to change it and to basically change reality instead of accepting what is. That creates enormous amounts of stress on your body, on your mind, on your emotions. Because as you're feeling the dissatisfaction, feeling the irritation, feeling the frustration, there's a cocktail of chemicals being created in your body, and it's wreaking havoc. It affects your immune system. It affects your brain function. It affects your ability to communicate and to connect effectively. On the other hand, what you could say to yourself, instead of judging and resisting, is to say that, okay, life is always happening for me. Life is always happening for me. I'm not a victim. Life is not happening to me. Also, life is not happening by me. It's not all on my shoulders. So if I can have the humility to say life is happening for me, through me, then I can say there is a situation, and it may be a situation which may be painful, which may be uncomfortable. I'm not saying that everything should be a situation where we throw a party and we're pleased about it. Let's get real. But even accepting that that situation may be painful or uncomfortable, what's the good in it for me? What is it that I can learn? How can I grow from this? Where is the blessing in this? An example, for example, is I once was looking for an apartment in Dubai, and I'd been looking for a very long time and I hadn't found something that I just was able to say, I love this and I'll stay here. And once I found one, and this apartment was on the ground floor, there was basically beachfront, the apartment. However, there was something in my mind that was saying, are they not going to build in front of this? And the lady said, of course, they're not going to do so. But why was I asking her? Does she have planning permission? Anyway, the owner of the apartment said, yes, it's still available. But when we got there, like 10 minutes later, we saw this blonde Russian lady running out, and he said she just took it. I was furious. I was so angry. I promise you, I think something in my head popped that day. So angry. In fact, I stopped looking for a few weeks. So I was sulking. And then she left me alone for a while and said, look, I found something. I know you're going to love it. Just come and see. And I went, I was like, okay, whatever. I walk into this apartment. I'm like, this is mine. I love it. Why am I telling you this? Because although it was irritating that day, although I didn't like the fact that they'd said it was available and then somebody else took it before me, etc., tough luck. The fact is, in front of that apartment that I didn't get, they built this building. There was no more sea view. And guess what? There was no more sand. They now built a parking space. Life was happening for me. Instead of me to have stepped into gratitude, I don't know why right now, but I know life is happening for me. Or maybe that might be something you're able to see. So is there any situation in your life that you are judging and you're resisting instead of accepting as it is, uncomfortable or amazing, and then choosing to see the good in it for you? When you flip from judgment and resistance and dissatisfaction to life is happening for me through me, and to gratitude, I can assure you that you will start living on a different frequency, and it's bliss, not stress. The other way in which super high achievers stress out in a very big way is the absence of presence. The absence of presence in the form of multitasking. You're doing this and you're doing that, and you're kind of flipping between the two, and you think it's cool. The fact is, when you are flipping your attention between two things, you're never really doing two things at the same time. That's one. It's extremely stressful for your system to be flipping between two, and you're resisting intimacy with anything. You're not really giving your energy and your presence to any one thing. And because you're not doing that, you're dispersed. And that dispersed energy doesn't feel whole. It doesn't feel powerful. That is when you start feeling overwhelmed. But when you step into the present moment of now, you're not thinking about yesterday. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You're on the current task or the experience you are having. Time expands and your body can relax, because that flipping actually feels unsafe. And so my invitation to you is truly to give love to whatever you choose to gaze upon. Give love to whatever you choose to focus on. Imagine if somebody was looking at you, and they were looking at you and looking away, looking at you and looking away, how do you feel? Everything has an energy. Everything is responding to your energy. So if it's your business, if it's a call with a client, if it's a moment you're having with your husband or your child or a friend, if you're choosing to be in that moment, then bring the full blessing of your presence to the moment. And so here, my tip is, if you're feeling overwhelmed, then you want to stop. You want to breathe. And then you want to simply be. And then you can go back to what it is you're choosing to focus on. Stop, breathe, and be has expanded time for me so many times, I cannot begin to tell you. Now, the last point I'm going to be making today is about fear of oppose. So other people's opinions. Now, the problem with having fearing other people's opinions is that you start fawning, you start pretending that you're something or someone that you're not. And this in itself, well, the issue is that you're suppressing your true self. And suppressing your true self, your true nature, your essence, takes an enormous amount of energy. And that energy that it's taking from you, this energy that you're using to suppress your true self, what you truly want, what you truly desire, how you truly feel, who you truly are, is being taken away from your body's ability to function at a physical level, your immune system, your body's ability to focus. How's your brain working? It's being taken away from even your emotional bandwidth and capacity. And so you're not able to connect effectively, you're not able to think effectively, and even your physical body starts breaking down because it just doesn't have enough bandwidth to work on the daily processes, support you suppressing yourself, and also support you when there's an issue, so your immune system. And so you really want to look at to what extent you're suppressing yourself. Now, if you're suppressing your true self, then there's probably something underneath this, and I truly understand. I definitely am a recovering perfectionist. And suppressing your true self comes from, at some level, a lack of true self-acceptance. Yes, you may know you're clever. Yes, you may know you're intelligent. Yes, you may know you're capable. However, do you feel that your worth comes from external results and external validation? Or do you truly understand that you in yourself intrinsically are worthy, full stop? And when you really step into this understanding, everything shifts. And one way of bridging from lack of self-acceptance, probably shame, I would even go there to say, which shows up as perfectionism, trying to paint this perfect picture, and embrace that. It's not something you want to resist. You simply want to see it for what it is, to accept it, and then to shift it if it's something that you choose. And what you then want to do is say, okay, if this is something I know I'm grappling with, a very, very powerful practice is forgiveness. Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. Because when you're able to forgive yourself for the things that you may feel wrong because you feel wrong about those things, or even forgive other people because they made you feel wrong, because if you're still relating with them, thinking about how they did this to you and they did that to you and they made you feel that way, you're focusing on them in that way, you're becoming them. But that's another episode. In any case, what I'm really saying to you here is practice forgiveness as often as possible and start with yourself. Start with your own self-forgiveness. And when you start with self-forgiveness, you will see that 1, you begin to relax. 2, you begin to embrace yourself because you're no longer expecting people not to love you and like you love yourself enough. And so I've shared 3 things today. The first is to really release this need for things to be exactly as you planned them to be, and to step into the acceptance and the understanding of life happening for you, life happening through you, and finding gratitude in everything, even when it's uncomfortable. The second is about really stepping into being present, stopping, breathing, being, choosing to do one thing, giving whatever you're doing love, attention, respect. And this in itself will allow you reconnect, relax, basically. You relax when you do that. And the third thing is when you forgive yourself for whatever it is that you have been holding on to and feeling shame about and just refusing to let go of, then you're able to step into reconnecting with your true self, reconnecting with your true essence, and allowing the world to experience your full and true magnificence. So I'd love to hear your comments. Which of these resonated for you today? Share it in the chat with me. I love to witness transformation, and sometimes it's just a little seed, a little spark that just begins the shifts. Love and light. Take care.